Hello, everybody, and welcome into 52/1995, your live music conversation podcast, where we're diving deep into the music of 1995. This is our first expansion into the 52 universe from our sister podcast, 52/1995 Movies. I am your host, Alyssa, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Cody. Cody, how you doing today?
I'm sick.
Boo, you whore.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a little under the weather, so a little stuffy, but not too stuffy to be here.
Say we are here nonetheless. You are a trooper for continuing to join us. Your sacrifice is appreciated. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, so glad that you are here. To kind of review what we do here each week, 52 weeks in a year, we explore a different album from the year 1995. We're going to dive deep into this year's important releases, discuss them in detail, and I'm going to chat with Cody here about his thoughts and experiences with the music. Now, it is a new month. The month of May is upon us. So this month and every month we explore a new theme or genre in music. This month's theme is pop and dance music. We didn't have like a lot of pop music. I mean, there's a ton of pop music that came out this year, but in terms of like important releases, big releases, there wasn't like a bunch. So we kind of combined it with, but there was a kind of a wave of dance music happening in other parts of the world. So pop dance music is combined for our month of May. But we did kick it off today with one of the queens of pop herself, Mariah Carey. That is who today's album is by. Daydream by Mariah Carey is what we're going to be discussing today. So Cody, before we jump into the discussion and how we think about it, what is your experience with this album? What's your experience with Mariah Carey, maybe prior to this round of listening?
Well, only the stuff that I know about Mariah. I believe that she's coming back into the fold. My sister did have this. I think she had it on cassette. And so I definitely listened to this album because of her. But Mariah Carey as a whole, like, I couldn't tell you what albums her like hits were on because I just felt like they just kept coming. And she is one of those people that I know that has very like a lot of hits. Like I think we even discussed this last night. You came into my room while I was working on the podcast and stuff, and you gave me a lot of like facts about her number ones and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like it goes like Elvis, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, and then like Katy Perry are the ones that have like those records for most number
Mhm.
ones on the chart. So she's, I mean, incredible, I guess. She's a pop star, but she's also like different. So when like we come to the like who I would pair her with,
Mhm.
I found that very difficult, and I don't
Mhm.
know if because there are so many pop stars at this time, like there are so many like I would say they were classified as like divas in the 90s.
Mhm.
So you have your Whitneys, you have your Tonys, you have Celine Dion. Like those are the people that are really conquering the 90s, and they don't really have that like pop feel to them. You do have
Right.
your Brandy and like Maya and Aaliyah and all these people that are coming up, Faith Evans, and I'm leaving one out, but like you have those people too. But like Mariah's doing something different, and I can't really put my finger on it.
Mhm.
Vocally, she's incredible. I think she probably has more I wouldn't say like she's like in the middle between R&B and pop music.
It's funny you should say that because that is exactly what this album is. It's just, I mean, she started as a pop singer, and this is the first foray into R&B, to really leaning into R&B. This is, I believe, her fifth studio album,
Mhm.
fourth or fifth studio album, and her record label, Columbia record, really controlled what she did up to this point. This was like the first record that she actually had a say in what was going on. And ended up causing a lot of tension and her eventually leaving. But this was kind of like the catalyst for that. This was the first album that she, yeah, like I said, had a say in. She was like, I want to lean into this R&B. I like this kind of music. I can sing this kind of music. This is where pop music is heading in this direction. Like she's kind of a vision. I mean, obviously R&B had been around, but she's like, no, what I'm gonna like. She was the songs that she was kind of singing on this album would also be popular 10 years down the line. I feel like in terms of if they had been released in the year 2005, they would have been just as popular. She was almost like ahead of her time
Yeah,
with
I
the way she's singing.
I think so. And like I said, that's no knock on the people that I already listed, but they're singing out like these ballads, and even Mariah Carey has a ballad on here. She has a cover of a ballad on this particular album. But like the two songs that you think of immediately off of this album are like super pop, and but with that hint of R&B with them, and I think that's probably because of the producer that she's working with, and I assume that he probably did those two songs specifically. Um, but who knows? I'm sure you'll get into it.
Another thing that's really cool about Mariah Carey is that she is a songwriter. We talked about this heavily when we talked about country music, that like we were kind of surprised, like, oh, we have these country singers who don't necessarily write their own songs, or we have some folks who do write their own songs. Mariah Carey writes and produces. She does it all. And that's like, again, something that we don't necessarily see in a lot of pop stars at the time. Usually they have songs handed to them.
mhm.
And so no, she is very much involved in the um, creation of this album in particular, but especially her albums to come.
I was mistaken. I thought Babyface had a huge part of this album, like
Not
uh,
yet.
other than doing like he just contributed like keyboards and vocals apparently for a
Yeah.
couple songs, not even all of them. So my bad. I thought that was the reason for some of these songs, but it's her.
No. Yeah, you're gonna see a greater like R&B inspiration in the coming albums. This is like Taylor Swift's Red. It's the dip
That's a great
into.
comparison. Great
I say
comparison.
it's the I've been one way this whole time. This is my like in between album before I go full into a different direction. And it worked. Like that's why, and that's it got, well, we'll get into it with the critical reception, but yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, else before we get into it, my experience with Mariah Carey is not this. I didn't really know that the radio existed in my until about I was 13 years old. So 90s Mariah completely passed me. All I knew is that she was like a diva. Like that was her reputation. It was kind of like a diva. Um, but I know her from this We Belong Together and
Hmm.
Shake It Off and Obsessed and what's the one? Touch My Body. Like those are like again, that is R&B with a hint of pop Mariah. That is 2000s Mariah. But that's what I know her from. So this is kind of fun for me to dive into this older version or this younger version of her. Um, to see where it is that she came from. But this was all like there's so much that happened during this time that got her to how we know her today. Yeah. So do you want to dive into some fun facts? I have a
Yeah,
couple.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So let's get into it, friends. This album today is called Daydream by Mariah Carey. It is 12 songs long, 46 minutes. Not too bad, not too long, not too short. Some info about Mariah Carey. So dubbed Songbird Supreme by the Guinness World Records. I thought that was a fun title. But she is known for her 5-octave vocal range and signature use of the whistle register, which is crazy. Like 5-octave vocal range, you're just like, who has that? Nobody has that. She has that, and that's kind of it. And she's like known for the whistle register. She was ranked the fifth greatest singer of all time by Rolling Stone in 2023. So like giving her props in terms of like vocals and what she can do, the control she has, like So I don't know who 1 through 4 were. Again, Rolling Stone, we take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I think I do remember that the top 5 was like Aretha Franklin, and Whitney probably was up there, and
Hmm.
so not like crazy far off, but
Right.
Taylor was on that list somewhere, and
Yeah.
we're like, yeah,
Performer is different than singer.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
But no, Mariah Carey can sing. She came to fame in about 1990 with her self-titled album. Became the only artist to have their first 5 singles reach #1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart. So that is that stat that you had. Again, she was the only female artist at that time to have that happen to. She beat the Beatles record. Like the Beatles and Michael Jackson, I think, are the two who have been able to do that. She was the third person ever and the only female at that point. And then, like you said, next would have been, I think, Katy
I think
Perry.
Katy Perry, is the next one.
She achieved international success with the best-selling albums Music Box and Daydream. So Music Box came out in 93, Daydream, what we're talking about here, 95. Before adopting the new image with the hip hop inflected sounds, which came from actually a remix from this album. So it's not on the album we're talking about today, but she came out with a remix of Fantasy with Old Dirty Bastard, which is, I believe, we're gonna talk about them later this year, right?
Hell yeah.
And but then the next album, Butterfly, that came out in 97, that is the I'm a hip hop artist now, or I'm a R&B artist now, the heavy influences. Um, it's so I'll get into it in a minute, but I'm just kind of going through the fun facts. I'm so excited to talk about this. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So with 11 consecutive years of US #1 singles, Billboard named Carey the artist of the decade, which is crazy for the 90s. Billboard names an artist of the decade. For the 2010s, it was Drake. For the 2000s, it was Eminem. The 1990s, it was Mariah Carey. So quite a big shout out, being like, this is the defining person of the 90s.
I
Which
mean,
again, like, was
that
shocking
Christmas
to me.
that Christmas album alone should probably have sealed it up for her.
Oh yeah, and the Christmas album came out in 94. So
Mhm.
she is riding off those coattails on that high when Daydream comes out.
It's before you get into more of your stuff, it seems crazy to me that her third album is probably that Christmas album, because it almost seems like Christmas albums are something that people do when they've got kind of nothing left, and like people have kind of forgotten about them, and she seems to be like a rising star. It would be like Alanis Morissette putting out a Christmas album after Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah. I think it goes one of two ways. You either do it really early in your career or really
Yeah.
late in your career. An example of early in the career is Taylor Swift,
Hmm.
as Mariah Carey, Justin Bieber. Like 3 people who
Yeah.
put them out early and continue and then got way bigger afterwards. But like you said, then there's that other aspect where you're late in your career and you're like, I've already put out a couple albums. I do have nothing left. Sia, I think, is a good example of putting out a Christmas album because we were done listening to her in about 2010.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, you're right. It happens one of two ways. And for her, it was just on that early side of things.
Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I'm sorry.
no, very good. Carey is one of the best-selling music artists with over 220 million records sold worldwide. She was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. She holds the record for the most Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles by a solo artist, which is 19, a female songwriter, 18, a
Yeah.
female producer, 15, spending a record 97 weeks atop the chart. To say she's good is an understatement.
Yeah.
She's also the highest certified female artist in the United States with 75 million certified equivalent units, and also randomly the best-selling Western artist in Japan.
Hmm.
Japan has big Mariah Carey fans. What is happening in Mariah Carey's life at this time? This is the stuff I want to get into, because this stuff, like, it's just fascinating. And a lot of this didn't come out until 2020 when she came out with her memoir. So Mariah in, late 80s, early 90s gives her demo to a producer at Columbia. And so she literally walks up to him at a house party, hands over her cassette and says, look it over. He puts it in, he leaves the party, plays it, turns the car around to go back to the house party to stop her, to sign a record with her. She had already left. He took 2 weeks and tracked her down, found her. That's who her first husband was. So marries this high producer at Columbia. They have a relationship. He's also the main producer on her albums, very Shania and Mutt. Um, and he is insanely controlling. Their relationship gets more and more tumultuous. She feels like she has no freedom in both their relationship or in her music career. He is very, that's why she was so stuck in that uh pop phase until now. This is the album where she put her foot down and said, I am going to do at least a couple things that I want to do. And it's gonna sound like hip hop and R&B. And basically they were like, that's too black. Straight, like the amount of racism that is surrounding Mariah Carey's early career is crazy. Mariah Carey's a mixed woman. She has a white mother, a black father, had kind of a tumultuous childhood and turned to singing as a coping mechanism, basically. Her mom was a trained opera singer, so was very supportive of her career in music. But again, gets involved with this producer. They get married. He is like she referred to the mansion that they lived in as Sing Sing, referring to the prison Sing Sing.
Mhm.
So during this time, this is when like things are heating up and then they get the divorce in 98 after Butterfly, when she's like, yeah, I'm actually, gonna do what I want to do. And she breaks with Columbia, goes off and has this like doubles. I mean, she's had a successful career up to this point, but there's so much going on behind the scenes in terms of putting her in a box and being like, no, this is too black. You can't lean into this. You have to act more white and you have to sound this way and do these things and sing these things. And she's like, no, like, so for some, I was like, yeah, I've always known her, been told that she's a diva or she's like, a sass pot. And I'm like, this is just a woman who knows what she wants and stands up for herself. Like, I wonder how much of a diva she actually is. I mean, I'm sure she's still a diva, but she's a pop star, of course. But like to hear what was happening at the time on top of this successful career is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy that you bring that up. I didn't do as much research as you did for this, but I do think that that was a big thing at the time with her. Like, if my recollection of Mariah Carey at this time was like, is she black? Is she white? And there being like a big like push for like, I feel like obviously you and I are both white and would come from like white areas, but like acceptance because she was white is white
Yeah.
presenting. And
Mm-hmm.
whereas the other stars of this time, like I said, like a Toni Braxton or a Whitney Houston, maybe aren't as accepted in the pop
Mm-hmm.
region because of the color of their skin.
Yeah.
So I did, yeah.
Colorism is a real thing. Mariah Carey is a very light-skinned black woman.
Mhm.
And that I think the record company played that to their advantage, and pushed for that. So I have another fun fact here that I think is crazy. Have you ever heard about the band The Chick? Or just, sorry, not The Chick, just Chick. The band is called Chick.
No, never heard of them.
Okay. So during the recording of Daydream, so early 95, Carey also worked on an alternative rock album. It was called Someone's Ugly Daughter by the band Chick. She contributed writing, production, vocals, and art direction. So she is the lead singer of a punk rock band in 95. As Columbia refused to release the album with her lead vocals because she's a black woman, Carey's friend, Clarissa Dane, was brought in to become the face of Chick, and her vocals were layered on top of Carey's to mask her voice. According to Carey, and this is a quote from her 2020 memoir, I was playing the style of the breezy grunge, punk light, white female singers who were popular at the time. I totally looked forward to doing my alter ego band sessions after Daydream each night. Crazy.
Does this exist? Is this out there somewhere?
I think so. I
Is
didn't
it
check, to be honest.
CHICK?
Yeah, CHICK. Someone's Ugly Daughter is the name of the album. And it's not, I mean, it is Carey's voice underneath it all, but they did layer it with that Clarissa Dane's voice. But yeah, they're like, nope, you're a black woman. You can't sing punk rock and you're going to do Daydream. And like, again, I'm maybe like inserting myself into these, but I'm like, you're reading, but like, it's like, oh, their Columbia didn't release the album, and it's just like, why?
That's crazy. I'm
Yeah,
so interested now to find this
yeah.
and track this down and listen to it.
Is it coming up on Spotify? Do you have your Spotify pulled
I
up?
tried to pull it up. It didn't come up, but it came up on Google whenever I Googled it. So,
Yeah, and it was
and
on the.
it says artist Mariah Carey on it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. That it said her contributions were secret until the release of her 2020 memoir.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, like, again, so much going on behind the scenes in her personal life, in her career. And this is, again, a woman who's just kind of put her foot down and said, I'm going to do what I want. And I am a Black person. And you're not going to put me in a box and you're not going to treat me like I'm just white. And like, I'm going to make music that I want to make and I'm going to talk about it. And I'm like, I love you. I love this is like, it's just very cool. And I mean, not that she went through a lot of hardship, but just the fact that that Daydream came out of all of this nonsense.
Apparently, because of that release of that, she found an original of just her as the lead singer, and she's trying to release it.
Let's go.
And I want to find this so bad. This is the best thing that you like research wise that we've come across. Like
Yeah.
this
Well,
is
that
incredible.
I was like foaming at the mouth, ready to talk about this. Like finding out this. That's why I like was talking to you about some stuff last night, like the fact that she was nominated or she was artist of the decade in 1990. Like this is stuff that I had no idea about. Like everyone knows Mariah Carey, everyone knows the songs Fantasy and Always Be My Baby. Like everyone knows, but do we know? No. And I think a lot of that history gets shuffled under the rug. Like something like this would be the forefront of any article of like any clickbaity article today. But like in the 90s they were like, oh, I don't see color, and they're just gonna pretend racism isn't a thing. And like you don't find these things out until, again, 30 years later.
This is gonna be my new
This is
like
your
this
this is
is my
your
white
white
whale right
whale.
now. Yeah, this is my white whale. I gotta find. Surely somebody has leaked this
It's
on the internet
somewhere.
somewhere. Well,
Well,
like I see that the one with the girl singing over her. I don't think that is like impossible to find, but now to
yeah.
find the yeah, it's not on Spotify. I'll tell you that.
Okay, good to know. Maybe we'll check out Apple Music. Chat, if you're out there, if you're able to find something, let us know. We would love to hear it. Drop the link in the
Chick,
Discord. Chick is the band. Someone's ugly daughter.
someone's ugly daughter. Wow, this is it. I gotta find it.
A couple more fun facts. Again, I have a lot here about her. So in the United States, Daydream debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold with 224,000 copies. So it did chart, obviously. The album spent 6 non-consecutive weeks at #1 on the chart, including 29 weeks inside the top 10 and 81 complete weeks altogether. 5 singles were released from Daydream. Fantasy was released as the album's lead single in August of '95. The song debuted at #1, making Carey, like I said earlier, the first female artist and the second performer to ever accomplish that feat. So this was a record-breaking album. Now, in terms of the inspiration with Daydream, Carey took more control over the musical direction, and she considers this album to be the beginning of her musical and vocal transition, again, away from pop music, more into R&B. Now, in terms of the legacy, there wasn't a ton that I wanted to touch on. I do want to note that this was nominated for 6 Grammys and it won 0 of them. And that was a huge deal. So there's actually a section on Mariah Carey's Wikipedia page called Grammys Controversy. And Daydream, like when the nominations came out, every article, every reviewer, every person in music was like, oh, Daydream is album of the year. She's going to sweep. She's going to win all 6. It's obvious. And she won 0 of them. Shocked everybody, herself included. But the thing that I think is the most heartbreaking is that after every single loss, the camera panned to her. And they say you could just see her face fall after every loss. Like she kept her composure really well, but I mean, it's hard to hide your disappointment in that. And she did say, she's like, I didn't expect to win, but like the whole world expected you to win. Now, I will
Yeah.
say, like again, again, album of the year, record of the year, best female pop performance, which she absolutely should have won. I think I saw who won. I was like, I don't know who that is. Um, I will say, like, I think album of the year going to Alanis Morissette still makes sense to me. I think it's a hard album to beat. In my mind, I think that year Alanis won the battle, but overall Carey won the war.
Yeah, I
Like
agree with that.
we know Mariah Carey, not that we don't know Alanis Morissette, but we only know Alanis Morissette for her one album. I know Mariah Carey for multiple reasons over decades.
This is, I
And
mean, this is kind of reminiscent of I brought her up already, but like Katy Perry's early journey. She's whatever now, but like Teenage Dream being the album that breaks that number one's record of Carey or
mhm,
Tizer or whatever it is. But again, zero Grammys for Katy Perry,
mhm,
and I know that it was probably a tough year in 2010 when that came out for
mhm.
her. I'm sure there's some other albums that are more deserving, but when you have that many number ones on an album, it's hard to you know
Yeah.
dismiss, I guess.
Right. It's crazy. I do think it's hard to pit Jagged Little Pill and Daydream against each other. They both went, like, in terms of sales, off the charts. Um, you know, number ones off the charts, multiple hits off the chart. Like it would be a tough competition
Yeah,
between the two, no matter what year it was. I do, I have my qualms with the Grammys. They have their darlings and their favorites. I feel like they're probably, in terms of, the awards, are probably the worst. Um, but she has won other Grammys. She has won lots of awards, a Lifetime Achievement Award. But yeah, it's kind of sad that this won nothing, and that is the legacy that is left behind when you Google Daydream. Other than the fact that the songs are fun and it's her transition album, it also is marked by her not winning anything. So again, a lot happening in 95.
this is just disappointing. It's just disappointing,
Yeah.
and I make this gripe on the movie podcast too with the Oscars. I mean, rarely do the Oscars ever get it right, and it is a huge, as far as I know, it's a huge campaign process, and whoever's
Yeah.
greasing the right palms is who's gonna, you know, get the nominations and get the wins.
Yes. Well, there is a campaign. Like, did you see that, like, article or an interview with Lana Del Rey recently? It was in the last, like, 2 years or
Mm-mm.
so. Yeah, she was it being interviewed, and she goes, "Yeah, I just found out that you have to campaign to get a Grammy." Like, she had no idea. Like,
That's crazy.
and
That's crazy.
she goes, "I just thought that if I put out a good record, I would get nominated." And they're like, "No, girl, you need to
Uh,
fire whoever your agent is." Which is sad. I mean, like, whether you like or dislike Lana Del Rey, she's put out some very, like, also, like, influential music, especially in, like, the early 20 teens.
yeah,
And
Tumblr era.
so, oh my God, Tumblr and Lana Del Rey are just married. You can't have one without the other. And um, but again, yeah, she had no idea there was a campaign process. So I don't know. Maybe the campaign in Mariah Carey's case wasn't good. Maybe there was an element of, again, maybe some racism happening here. They're like, oh, she's associating herself with Boys to Men and Old Dirty Bastard. Uh-oh. And so it's pretty crazy. But again, I'm so glad I did. Like, I mean, I do obviously do a deep dive for this podcast. I did a deep dive for this one because I didn't know. And all I
Yeah,
know is that, again, that she's a diva and that Shake It Off is a banger and that she married Nick Cannon for 5 seconds. Not
shake it
5 seconds.
off.
Shake it off, cause none ain't the same, and you
Oh,
keep
I
on
was
playing
like,
games,
she
and
has
you
a song
know
called
me
"Shake
to
It Off."
shake it off. Yeah,
Look at her. Look at you.
yeah.
You're
Look
basically
at you.
Mariah Carey.
I'm basically Mariah. Jesus. No, I'm not. We Belong Together's music video is fucking fantastic. That has the guy from not Prison Break. Never mind.
Yeah, Prison Break,
Is it Prison
right?
Break? The guy from Prison Break's in it.
With the
She
shaved
like,
head, Wentworth Miller.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it's a good video.
I don't know. It's crazy that I didn't know that the song that you were just singing is off of probably, I think, her second best album. So I don't know why I
The
didn't recognize it.
Mimi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to break down some songs now that I've gone on my I love Mariah Carey rant?
No, let's do it. Let's absolutely do it.
So what do you got? What songs are you wanting to talk about?
So I think the my favorite songs, I'll be honest with you, are the first 5 songs of this album. I do think
Okay.
I don't like the second half of this album as much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the first 5 songs definitely were the ones that I was drawn to. And that has, the 3 hits in it.
Mm-hmm.
So Fantasy, Underneath the Stars, One Sweet Day, Open Arms, and Always Be My Baby. And I do like Forever as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I had Forever. I also had When I Saw You on my
Mhm.
list, but I agree. The front half is a little stronger than the back half of the album. There's a lot of ballads. There's a lot of ballads. I will say this is my only gripe with the only critique or ask is that I think some of these songs are too long. I think that the end we're just kind of, like we can shave about 4 minutes off of this album, I think, which doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But when a song is 3 minutes long, or a song is 4 minutes long, and it should be three because the last minute is just repeating and not adding anything, I'm like, okay, okay, let's go. I'm hitting the next button. I'm ready to go. So and I don't think it's from a lack of attention. I think I'm just like, some of the song, One Sweet Day, perfect length. I don't want to cut that at all. In fact, I could listen to 20 minutes of One Sweet Day. But some of them, I'm like, okay, let's wrap this up. So that's my only gripe with this album.
Yeah, I get that. And I do think that comes from, the what is going on in the world, like in the world of music at that time. Like, what are women artists doing at that time? And I keep
Mm-hmm.
going back to Whitney and Tony and what they're putting out there, and freaking and Celine Dion just putting out
Mm-hmm.
these ballads that are 6 minutes long. They're not
Yeah.
6 minutes long; they feel 6 minutes long.
Yes.
Yeah,
if you're gonna make a song 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, give me depth, give me something extra. Like I could listen to Bohemian Rhapsody for the full 7+ minutes that it is. Give it to me. But
yeah, so and I cheated a little bit because Open Arms is in that 5. Open Arms, of course, is a cover of Journey song, and I love that Journey song. And she is one of those people that is like Kelly Clarkson. Like, you don't want her to cover your song because she's going to do it. She's going to do it much better. Now, Steve Perry nails the hell out of Open Arms as the lead singer of Journey, but she makes it sound like it's her song.
Yeah. I didn't know at first that I didn't recognize at first that it was a cover. Yeah. And I was like, oh.
And it is a little long. Again, it's that 80s power ballad that you get from a lot of those rock bands of the 80s. But yeah, I kind of cheated with Open Arms, so we don't have to dwell on it.
Well, let's kick it off with Fantasy, which is the first song on the album. Great fade in, like the quiet music coming in, and then that punch, and then you're like, then she starts singing, and you're like, let's go.
The music video for this is great too, because I'm pretty sure she's at like a theme park.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and she's just hanging out with her friends, and it just goes with the vibe of this. Like, it feels very much like this.
This is going to the theme park with your friends. This is a summer day. This is a spring day, driving with the windows down, eating an ice cream cone. This is going to be added to my long sleeve shirt and shorts playlist. Like,
I'm for that.
It just gives you that feeling of sunshine. It is poppy and upbeat, and it has a good underkick to it. And the way when she says, "I'm so into you," I don't know, the way that it scratches an itch. I don't know, or even when she says the talking sweet and looking fine, like at the beginning, I'm like, I don't know why. I'm just like, how you sing that is just, it scratches that itch and it feels so good.
I think there's so these lyrics come off very juvenile, not juvenile in a bad way.
Hmm.
It just comes across as very young love, very, immature love at the time. Like, I'm in heaven with my boyfriend, my lovely. How many times can you say boyfriend in this song? She says it a few times, but I think there's a big difference than if Mariah Carey is singing this song versus somebody like Brandy is singing this song. And that is not to knock Brandy, but when we were talking about Waiting to Exhale and that
Hmm.
soundtrack, we have that song Up in My Room, or whatever it is, Up in My
Yeah,
Room.
that felt young.
It felt young. This one still feels like it feels more mature, even if the lyrics aren't giving me that. And it's
Yeah.
something to say about like Mariah's voice and presence and
Hmm.
um yeah. So I just think there's a big difference there between what like she's going toward what Brandy is doing, and she's going to smash the hell out of what Brandy is doing.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a comment on a lot of reviewers and critics, was that this is a more mature Mariah at this point. Like in like even like in like it's more sexual and sensual, and it's a more adult contemporary than her previous album. So I think again, it's another transition piece. It's like you're right, the lyrics themselves, and they can apply to someone who's 15 or 85. Like it's just about having a crush on somebody and it's all in my mind. They don't know. It's just a sweet fantasy, baby. And it can, yeah, but it can apply to someone who's a teenager. But the way she sings it and the way she does it, it's just like, I'm in, I'm hooked, I got it. This is a fantastic song.
yeah, I think this is just. I mean, this song again. It is one of the few like genuine pop songs on here. You have that hip hop element to it, that beat in the background, that thing that I was telling you about, that dun 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 dun, and I couldn't figure out why it was stuck out to me so much, because it was sampled by an artist recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that is like hip hop of the 90s, is using those little beats in the background. So this one definitely has that hip hop element to it as well. I haven't heard the one with ODB, but I would really like to listen to that.
Yeah, me too. I haven't heard it because it wasn't on this album. It
Well, that's
was
right.
released later.
We're sticklers. We stick to the what's on here until we
Yes,
don't.
until we don't. No, I love it. And I think this is a good transition into Underneath the Stars, because like first of all, the storytelling in that is really, really good, but it also sounds young. It's about, to me, I'm like, oh, this is a teenager who's sneaking out her window to go hang out with her boyfriend in the park and lay in the grass together, and like, without mom knowing. Like
This
that's
is very
the
strawberry wine to me.
yes, with age appropriate people, with
Yeah, yeah.
consenting age appropriate people. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it feels like young love and it's cute. So I think that like that transit, it's a good transition from fantasy too.
You think they're doing it in this song, right?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
this is
good.
to me. I was kind of like it's first time, right, for both, or
Yeah.
yeah, like again, sneaking out and like lying in the grass and take me to another place, and I'm like, this is very heavily, but very heavily implied. But again, it can be interpreted other ways.
I guess, yeah,
It
too.
can
It's
be juvenile. I mean, I don't think they're laying in the grass knitting, but
yeah.
they're
It
like
actually says that in the lyrics. It says drifting, 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 knitting, knitting, knitting. I'm lying. It doesn't say that.
knitting, 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 crocheting, playing
Crochet,
Yahtzee.
you stay.
What about? Did you have anything for Underneath the Stars? Anything
Uh,
additional?
I just I liked it for the sense of being that young love song. I mean, like you said, transitioning from fantasy to this is I think, a good transition, especially at the beginning of this album to that.
Hmm.
So I just liked it. I think some of the lyrics were some of my favorites
Yeah,
in out of the ones that I really liked. So no, I just liked it, and it's a good, sweet song.
it is. It's sweet. So, what about, speaking of sweet, One Sweet Day?
Hell yeah, baby. This is a song I had on repeat. Had it on single. I didn't have it on single. My sisters had it on a single, which for those that are not age appropriate, a single is a cassette single with, you flip it over, it's only got one song on each side. So
Hmm.
that's for the young folks out there that don't know. But yeah, I don't remember what was on the B side of One Sweet Day single, but I played this a lot. I was a big Boys to Men guy
Hmm.
when I was a very young child. I still love Boys to Men, but I wanted to be them, like a group, four dudes singing, not like country music and not singing rock music or anything. They were just singing with like the point of
R&B.
it was to hear their voice. And
Yes.
if you know anything about me, you know, out there, um, like vocals is a huge thing for me, and melody and harmony is a huge thing for me.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll forget about like the musical part of it, the musicality or part of all these things, or the arrangements that they're singing in,
Hmm.
because I'm just a voice guy. I like vocals, and that really matters to me. But the song is very good.
So good. And yeah, Boys to Men, this song almost sounded gospel to me. Like obviously it is a group, but there's a choir in it and like it's very heavily on R&B, but like especially towards the end I'm like this is a gospel song. And those that the voices and the harmonies like you said they just hit you because Boys to Men is such a powerhouse group paired with Mariah Carey such a powerhouse singer. I mean, it is like almost overwhelming how good it is.
Yeah, I could get that. I could get behind that. I especially love towards the end of the song. One of my favorite parts is when I think it is Mariah Carey. I think it's Sean Stockman of Boys to Men are singing together, and they're singing
Hmm.
their parts together while the rest of Boys to Men are, you know, filling in with the other lyrics. But it's that part where it's like, I know, baby. Like that part, I freaking love that stuff. And all those little runs that they do together are great. And
Hmm.
whew, One Sweet Day
Like
is so
chills.
good. Yeah. Even if it is like the lyrics are kind of cheesy, I'm not gonna lie.
They're
Like
sad.
it's sad, but they're kind of like cheesy in a sad way, like obvious in a sad way. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like,
This sounds like something that would be sung at a funeral.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
The gospel choir is gonna sing.
I'm sure this played at many a funeral in from 95 on.
Yeah.
Um
Oh yeah. It probably
and
still is.
yeah, and it has a special place for Mariah Carey, right? Like it's about somebody that she knew. Like I think that's
Hmm.
why they wrote this song, is somebody that she knew, I think might have died of AIDS.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I
And it
want
was
to.
about a person, like an actual person, but I don't
I
know anything
can't
beyond
remember what it was. I should have written it down, but I do believe it's about somebody that she was friends with since she like started her career, and they passed away at a young age. And I do think it was because of AIDS, but I'll have to do some more research to figure that out.
Jesus.
Um, because for the longest time, I thought it was about because like gang violence was going on a lot, like and especially like East Coast, West Coast rap stuff. I thought it was about somebody that passed away during that. Honestly, I thought it was about like Tupac or Biggie at
Hmm.
the time, but that's much later. I think that happens in like 97. So
Mm.
I'm a little ahead of my time there, but I always thought it was about them. But no, it's actually about Mariah Carey's friend.
Wow.
It's super sad.
That was very sad. There's a a line in there that I took your presence for granted, but I always cared. I was like, Jesus, like like it is cheesy, but like there are some like gut punches in there too. Like it is very moving. It's very good, especially if you've just never heard it before and you're like, oh, I like this. Like we don't get funeral songs anymore. Like,
Yeah, I found out who it was. It was a guy from CNC Music Factory. He was one half of CNC Music Factory, which, if you know, you might not know CNC Music Factory, but you definitely know one of the "Gonna Make You Sweat." You ever heard that song?
oh yeah.
Everybody Dance Now. That's CNC Music Factory. He did die of AIDS at 32. So
Wow.
yeah, they collaborated a couple times on some things. I knew it was somebody in the music industry though, so not too far off.
There you go. That is very sad, but yeah, it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful tribute. Fun fact about this song. So I said Billboard named Mariah Carey the singer of the decade, musician of the decade. They also named this song, One Sweet Day, the single of the decade.
Which I'm
So
not. Yeah, you told me that last night, and I was still like, "This is the single of the decade." Not that I love this song,
mhm,
but of the decade, I was like, "Really, this song?
of the 1990s. And
Is it
the
even the? Is it even the like most played song on her album of this? Like, I don't think
no,
it. Yeah,
it's fantasy.
it's got to be fantasy, right?
I kind of wonder, like, I would love to know what, sorry, it's the Hot 100. Yes. And I wonder what goes into this because interesting enough, the album of the decade was Jagged Little Pill. So the fact that they all came from 95 is kind of crazy. I'm like, do they pick something that's towards the middle of the decade? Do they, how do they pick? Is it based on sales? Or do they, because I'm like, well, it's Mariah Carey and Boys to Men, two people or groups, who are like powerhouses. Both are of the 90s. We got the, as a chat
Yeah,
says, collab power. Yeah, it's like,
that makes it
is it
so.
the fact that it's a collaboration, that it's an uplifting song, that it was very powerful, that is like, what was the reason behind it? I saw the song, if you're curious, the song of the decade for the 2010s is Uptown Funk, which checks. But that came out in about 2015, end of 2014, beginning of 2015. I'm like,
What's
that's right in the middle
2000s?
too. I can't remember.
I was gonna say it has to be Hey Ya, right?
No,
Come
now I
on.
gotta look it up. Uh, Song of
It's
the
gotta be Hey
decade.
Ya. If it's not, it's a bunk list. And
Oh, it's "We Belong Together" by Mariah Carey.
uh still a bunk list. It should
We
be Hey Ya.
belong
That's a
together.
way better song.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I do like "We Belong Together." Again, great. Oh, this song topped the Billboard Hot 100 charts for 14 weeks, was also named the best performing single of the decade. So I'm not sure what that means, but okay, interesting. So singers and albums and songs of the decade is fun. Like this defined a decade. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but Uptown Funk did. That one was correct.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. But I've always said that like Hey Ya or Uptown Funk is the Hey Ya of the 2010s.
That is, I agree with that statement 100%.
Yeah, it is the same. It's the same vibe. It's the same, obviously not the same like song type, but same
Mhm.
vibe. It's
Same
there.
vibe.
Yeah.
I agree. So what's the next one on your list?
I had open arms, but we
Oh
can
yeah.
skip that
Okay, so
unless you have anything to say about it.
I do not. Uh, so Always Be My Baby.
Hell yeah.
Do do do.
Dum,
I just have do do do.
do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do, uh.
She does it in um she does it in fantasy as well, but like these shoo wops or doo doo doops in the background of like they're so fun and they're so good.
And then in Forever, it is like a doo-wop feel to it.
Hmm.
I don't think there's any like doo-wops in it, but it gives me
Yeah.
that like feel of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Forever gave, I even said, there was like a familiarity to Forever. Not that I had like heard the song
Right.
before, but
Yeah.
like I was like, this feels familiar to me for some reason. I don't know if it was because of the piano. It was like the almost like the Unchained Melody piano.
Yeah. It's
Um,
something like that. That is exactly what it is.
but yeah, that was one where her voice is genuinely incredible. But anyway, Always Be My Baby. To me, that is, I was like, oh, it's My Boo by Usher and Alicia Keys. Always be my baby.
Let it linger on.
It's so
It's
cute.
it's a finisher to your story that the front half of this album is telling, the
True.
fantasy and the underneath the stars and all this stuff, finding that young love, and then finally you get to always be my
Moving on.
baby, and you're moving on, but you're always going to be a part of me
Mhm,
indefinitely.
mhm. I also like in the song how layered her voice is. Like it almost sounds like there's 10 Mariah Careys singing in a choir.
Hmm.
Like, you'll always be a part of me. And it's like, oh, it's Mariah Carey. And then she's also doing like the high notes on top of it, doing the aria. But
She's a
yeah, it's like
freak.
she's doing the most. But this song's cute and it's fun and it's a lot of snaps, a lot
How
of very bouncy.
how fun that Mariah Carey wrote this also with Jermaine Dupri. You remember Jermaine Dupri?
Yeah, why do I know that name?
I'll tell you the name of that song that Jermaine Dupri is from, because he's an R&B guy too. But keep going. I mean, he produced like all those like Jagged Edge. He might have been
Oh,
in
okay.
Jagged Edge, honestly.
I was gonna say, was he in Jagged Edge? Maybe.
I think
Uh,
he was just a producer, maybe. I don't know.
okay.
How
But I
do
say
I know Jermaine Dupri?
the name sounds very familiar, but I don't know. I was gonna say, have you? Well, I think you have, but this is tying it back to our 52 movies podcast. Always Be My Maybe is a play on the title of this song. It also plays in the movie, but it's this idea that two friends who were friends as teenagers, um, you know, separate and meet back up in life in their like 30s, and they have very different lives, and they're always, this idea of always being part of each other's life, and even, getting back together, having a romance. If you've not seen Always Be My Maybe, it is so funny. It is so funny. It is Randall Park and
Yes.
Ali Wong, who I adore.
And
Um,
Keanu.
and Keanu playing Keanu is incredible. There's a song in there called "I Punched Keanu Reeves," which is that could be my pairing. Is the soundtrack to "Always Be My Maybe" to this Mariah Carey album. That's a great movie. I highly recommend it. And again, it ties back into this song really well too.
I just learned you would not know any of the Jermaine Dupri songs.
Oh, okay, bummer.
It's okay.
Well, anything else?
No, the only thing that I wanted to talk about, well, I kind of already said my piece on Forever. I just think that I think it's the best song in the back half of the album.
Yep.
And I think that it does feel like a song that is very familiar. It is not a cover though or of anything, and it just gives me those doo-wop vibes. And it almost feels like maybe this song is playing into like maybe this is something that I don't know if she
Mhm.
had full say on this album, but maybe this was like one that they made her take the direction on and say, hey, you're
Mhm.
because it's not, Always Be My Maybe or One Sweet Day or Fantasy, those heavily,
No,
R&B
it's a
heavy
ballad.
songs. It is a ballad. But it sounds like a ballad from the 50s, 60s.
Hmm.
Uh, and she just crushes it because
Yeah.
she's just
For
vocally superior than to everyone.
Well, like I think first of all, I think it's a perfect love song. And second of all, I think it really shows her control. Like when she sings Forever, in the first chorus, it's very like held back and quiet, and she just
Hmm.
hits that note perfectly. And then the second time she sings it, she like belts it, and you're just like, yeah, like she's like, I do have that power, but I know when to wield it. And I agree. I think it's the better song on the back half of this album, and it's very good. Just really showcases her voice.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything here. It's also I just learned it's a waltz. Um,
Yep, it's
and
in that one, two, three,
three,
one, two,
one, two,
three,
three,
one,
and it
two,
makes
three.
sense with the doo-wopness to this song. And people say that it shares exactly what I just said with American music from the 50s and 60s.
Hmm.
Nailed
Yep.
it. I should write Wikipedia articles, baby.
There you go. And there's a lot again that plays into again her early career and what they were the box that they were trying to force her into. A lot of heavy influences from the 50s and 60s. So, well, if that's the album breakdown that we've got, what was your favorite song?
One Sweet Day is my favorite song. It is
I
the
knew
one.
it would.
It's the song that I will belt in my car and would come back to time and time again. Although close second is Fantasy and Always Be My Baby. Um, I they're such a close 1, 2, 3, and they're
Hmm.
like they're number one hits for a reason. Like they are the ones on this song or album for a reason. So
Yep, exactly. I picked Fantasy. I just couldn't stay away from it.
it's
Again, the way that she sings the first verse, how she just enters into the album, enters into the song, it just scratches an itch that I'm just like, oh, she's so good.
Yeah.
So what about least favorites?
Well, besides the Daydream interlude, I didn't really like the Daydream interlude. I think
Hmm.
I Am Free.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really liked that one very much, and I don't like hate anything on this album. Nothing on this album had me like scratching my head, like what, like Jules' album, or
Hmm.
even some of the other albums that we've had that weren't as good. But yeah, like I Am Free, I just didn't connect with a lot. Again, that's on the back half of the album with a lot more of the ballad pieces and stuff. So
Hmm. Yeah, I put the interlude because I was like not sure what's going on here,
yeah,
like
it was so weird.
why it's on the back half of the album and not immediately after Fantasy. What is happening? I'm just like I don't get it. It didn't make sense
Yeah, it
because it's
was.
also the next to last song.
It was
Like,
strange. It was definitely a weird thing. Like, just put on the ODB song. If
yeah,
the ODB
exactly.
version, I'd
Yeah.
rather have that.
Um, I think, and relating it to previous albums, I did have a moment here where, similarly to Waiting to Exhale, I was like, some of these songs sound the same. Like they don't really differentiate from one
Yeah,
another. It's just another ballad. And I'm like, okay, like that's fine. So again, that back half of the album kind of speaks to that.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite lyric?
I liked the there weren't any lyrics that I thought were like super deep, that really stuck out to me. But I really liked the lyrics in "Underneath the Star," especially I think it's after that first chorus. It's weak in the knees, wrapped in the warm, gentle breeze. Eyes so shy, a bundle of butterflies, flushed with the heat of desire on a natural high. So that's the single line. I always have to bring it back to sex, and I feel like that is like those four little that stanza there is like,
Hmm.
okay, this is like
Happening.
happening, and it is, but it can also, like you said, it's not too on the nose to where it can't be
Yeah.
interpreted as just regular young love, butterflies, and
Yeah. If you want to hit
feeling
it on the
flush.
nose, we can talk about Melt Away.
Yeah, melt away is a little bit more on the nose when it comes to that.
Hmm. Um, I just had I again that itch scratching lyric, when you walk by every night talking sweet and looking fine, I feel kind of hectic inside. And which I like that like idea. Like I never thought about describing my feelings as hectic. Like hectic or chaotic is like, oh, life is hectic, or today like when I think hectic, I'm like running around from place to place trying to get stuff done. But like I feel kind of hectic inside. I'm like, oh, that's a I'm just picturing like someone's heart or brain bouncing off the walls inside their body. And I think that's a fun way to describe it.
Yeah, I
Probably
I
not fun feeling, but
I love the way that when you read those lyrics, you almost have to read it in the
walk by
yeah, you
every
have to
night.
read it like that, because when you were reading it, that's why I was bobbing my head. I was like, "This is how this is going." Like,
Mhm.
I love that you can't read it any other way.
Yeah, it's fun.
I challenge you to read it another way.
Walk by every night.
It's
I'm just trying to
impossible. You can't do
can't do it.
it.
It's like when I said, again, part of why I'm such a music person is I danced for my whole life. And when someone's like, oh, dance, try to dance offbeat, I cannot do it. It is physically impossible.
I can do
Like,
it.
you're not trained.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, that just hurt me. Um, what music pairings do you have? Do you have any?
Yeah, I do think that she's kind of I mean, she's kind of incomparable. I think vocally, maybe somebody like Ariana Grande is a contemporary to her. She's
Hmm.
definitely got the talent. Somebody that's not as popular, but equally has good vocal talent is Tori Kelly. I love Tori Kelly, and
Hmm.
I think she's extremely talented. And I don't think she gets the music to showcase that, or she's not singing the right kind of pop songs or
Yeah.
things, and that stuff is not as popular now, I guess, like
Hmm.
that vocal styling. So those were the two that I could think of that like vocally go with her. I couldn't think of anybody else,
Yeah.
um, honestly.
That's fair. I also picked Ariana Grande. Agree. She is the contemporary. She could do the whistle register. She has that crazy range. I do recall like maybe in like early in Ariana Grande's career, she got compared to Mariah Carey, and Mariah Carey was like, "Who?"
Yeah, I love
Which
that.
is very funny. But years later, they collaborated on a Christmas song together, the two of them plus Jennifer Hudson. And it,
Nice, very nice.
I think it's Santa's gonna come and make you mine. It's a banger. It's a fun song with the three of them. I'm like, oh, you just have three power ballad people on who could just belt for days on this Christmas song. It's a good time. So she did acknowledge her existence at some point.
Did you know that Mariah Carey is 56 years old?
I did. She doesn't look any older. She
That's
is aging in
insane.
reverse. She looks the same. It's crazy.
I
I
just
did.
saw that and I was like, no way.
I do have one other music pairing, and it's Minnie Ripton. Minnie Ripton is someone who came up frequently in my research because she's the one who kind of popularized the whistle tone and who Mariah Carey got a lot of inspiration from. So also a Black artist. Um,
That was the
but
other thing I was really frustrated with because I picked Ariana Grande and Tori Kelly. I was like, great. Can I go any wider? And it really depends on what version of Ariana Grande you're getting too. So
Arigato Grande.
yeah, or
That was the funny one of the funny that I probably laughed the hardest when I saw, yeah, Ariana Grande, depending on who you ask and what day it is. It could,
and Christina Aguilera, I guess, would be another one that, you know,
yeah, it just has a crazy range.
yeah, just with the range and everything. Because like I didn't want to put Beyonce, I didn't want to put Kelly Clarkson, I didn't want because like they're all great singers, but like Mariah Carey has the whistle tone thing, and it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Now, Minnie Ripton being the inspiration, Ariana Grande being the contemporary. That's kind of, those are the only two I had.
Yeah.
So you're recommending this to a friend?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I recommend this album and Emancipation of Mimi and say this is Mariah. Like not that,
Yes.
you know, I know we're excluding some other hits there, but like these two albums and they're so far apart. They're what, 15 years apart at least?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 years apart. Like how crazy is that to put out two incredible albums that far apart?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about last week with PJ Harvey. Like like we didn't love the album that she put out in 95, but her two most popular albums are in 2000 and 2011. It's like, what? We're so far off.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So I agree. I think the Emancipation of Mimi is like the version that I know of her. So it's like the 90s version and the 2000s 2010s version of Mariah. And this is who she is. The Emancipation of Mimi, I think, is it's having its 20-year anniversary,
Yes. This
and
is
she's
its
coming out with a re-release.
Well, and that's
Uh,
where people think that she might really because they're talking about her getting
you know,
nominated. Like,
there's some hidden tracks. I looked it up on Spotify. There's like 6 tracks that are like, it says track 13, track 14. It does not, and they're blanked out. It does not say what they are.
some people also speculate that this year she might also release the Chick album. In my very brief research that I did about it,
In
so
the last 5 minutes.
in the
Let's
last five
go.
minutes, I found all this stuff.
I love it. I love genre bending. I love when artists do something that has nothing to do with what they're known for. Dolly Parton put out a rock and roll album like a year or two ago, and it was, I mean, it was fine. It's still Dolly Parton, but it was, I mean, badass of her to do.
Hmm.
Like she's like, I've always wanted to be in rock and roll, so I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, you're how old? Like, good for her. Like,
Well,
yes, do the things that make you happy.
Green Day did a similar thing to this, where they put out essentially a different album, and everybody kind of knew it was Green Day, but it's like got a more like electronic feel to it. It's
Oh,
like Green
okay.
Day electronic.
Oh.
I forget what the name of the band was, but they when you said this,
Oh,
I
so
was
it's like
like,
a side project.
yeah, it was called The Network. That's what it was. They're like a new wave band, but it is Green Day,
Oh, I didn't know
just
that.
not Green Day that we know. And yeah, they have three other members in it, but yeah, it's called The Network, and it was a big secret. And I think they wore masks and like I think they wore like those like
Ski
robber masks
masks.
or yeah, ski
Okay.
masks. That's what I couldn't think of.
Hmm.
So that nobody knew who it was. But yeah, that's
Interesting.
immediately when you said the click thing, I was like, Oh, it's Green Day, secret band.
Secret band.
Secret
No, I
band.
well, what's your star rating on this?
I give it a 4. I think the back half of the album left me a little bit wanting after having such a strong freaking start. Like, you
Hmm.
have 5 songs back to back to back to back that I'm just like, holy cow, that's a 5-star record right there. You could just
Hmm.
release 5 of these and it'd be great. So I mean, I could probably be persuaded up to a 4.5 for this album.
Hmm.
Um, it reminds me a lot of like Alanis's album, where it does have 5 really strong or 6 really strong tracks on it, and then it's got some like snoozers on there.
Hmm.
So
That I did give it a 4.5.
yeah,
I think it is because of, again, looking like learning about like what was happening in 95 in her life, her personal life, her professional life, her as a person, the punk rock thing that was going on, like, and like I agree with you, the front half's way stronger than the back half. Um, but I think my only real complaint was that some of the songs were too long. And I wish they were a little bit shorter. But
yeah.
really, other than that, I think each song is decent in its own right. So I wasn't, I guess I gave Alanis a 5 star. I gave Mariah Carey's a 4.5. I agree that it should have been nominated for album of the year. I do thus far with what we've seen, with the albums we've listened to so far, makes sense to me. Who was the other one? Joan? It was Joan,
Joan Osborne.
yeah, Joan Osborne was also out nominated for album of the year. And I'm still kind of like reeling over that.
It's a
Wasn't,
different album. I'll say that just because it's like
mhm,
super blues heavy and not as
yeah.
traditional in like the alt rock or pop. Definitely not pop. So
Right. I mean, just to think, like, to put it up against Daydream, I'm like, okay.
yeah,
Like, you're right. It's very different. It also had What If God Was One of Us on the album. So it makes sense as to, if that was such a popular song. But so I do want to ask you before we wrap things up, like, what do you think about, like, again, being nominated for album of the year? Do you think this got snubbed as album of the year compared to Jagged Little Pill? Not her other noms, like the other 5 nominations for Grammys, but like for album of the year specifically, do you think this should have won over Jagged Little Pill?
yeah. So yes, probably because of her being in the industry a little bit longer than Alanis. I feel like they went safe. Not even safe. I think they wanted to, hey, we're in touch with the youths, and
Mm.
it kind of goes along with that. And Atlantis put out a great album. And is wildly deserving of that. It's not like a
Oh
completely off
yeah.
the wall album that won album of the year and nobody knows why. But yeah, I honestly I think they probably should have. I think she does win album of the year later, maybe with Mimi.
She might. I'm not, she has Grammys. I'm just not sure what they're
Yeah.
for.
So she might have gotten hers a little bit late for probably subpar albums, but yeah, I kind of think she should have gotten it.
Yeah. That's
Or
like say
Oasis.
you love Oasis.
I do. That album was incredible.
But I was just curious because again, I think both albums are great. It was just a little different. Like again, they're hard to put up against one another. I'm not pitting the two artists against each other because they're difficult to compare. I just think it's an interesting year. Sometimes, you're put up. Some years are easier than others.
Yeah, you're
So,
absolutely right.
um, that's it. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I
Okay, well,
think
thank you. Big thank you for joining, even while you're sick. So much appreciated. Before we wrap things up, any recent not movie, goodness, what podcast are we on? Music recommendations. I'm gonna tell you up top, I think I have nothing. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to add one more music pairing.
go for
Um,
it.
the song that was sampled, that fantasy, it's called Big Energy by Lotto, Latto.
Okay, I could
So
not.
that's my recommendation. She's like, bad bitch, I could be a fantasy. And it has the like it samples fantasy. So that came out like maybe a year or two ago, big on TikTok. So that's my music recommendation because I was listening to it on the drive home from work today was Big Energy by Lotto samples Fantasy. So sorry,
Okay.
that'll be my recommendation. Do you have a recommendation?
My recommendation, I have been reading the book Dylan Goes Electric recently, and so I've been listening, trying to, like, as I'm reading this book, go with the time period and listen to some of the music that's been suggested in there. So I've been listening to a lot of Bob Dylan. Obviously, I'm not too far in that. I'm only on Bob Dylan's second album. I'm only on the Freewheeling Bob Dylan
Hmm.
album, but also like Pete Seeger, who is the godfather of folk music, probably,
Hmm.
and has influenced and written so many folk songs and performed so many folk songs that people probably know and use to this day. So I've been listening to him. Kingston Trio's another one, big inspiration there. Peter, Paul, and Mary have showed up. Puff the Magic Dragon, you know that. So yeah, I'm just trying to go along with the book as I read it. So that's been my recommendation, is just listen to some Bob Dylan.
That's very fun. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, picking up a book about a musician and listening to the discography as you go through. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, if you're interested in getting more information about our podcast or the music that we're listening to or the movies that we're watching, you can join the 52 Universe by joining our Discord server. You're always welcome to follow us on Instagram as well, where we post, when the stream will be happening. We were a little late today because of, work. But updates like that show up on, again, our Discord and our Instagram. So, if you're interested in information like that, give us a follow. Next week, we are going to be listening to the album Post by Bjork. Bjork is Bjork. And so get ready to listen to some weird shit. Still in that pop dance realm. We're jumping countries here. I'm excited. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching and participating in chat. We love you. We'll see you next time on 52 Side.